What's going on, beautiful people of the world and of the business world? You guys rock. CEOs and business leaders, chief revenue officers are here. I am so excited to get this started. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Diane. Hello, Elizabeth, Paul, Chris. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in a couple minutes, but as you get yourself acquainted here, uh, chat box, thumbs up. Just type in the chat box. Can you hear me? There's going to be hopefully a good group of people, a good group of innovators here today. But I just want to make sure, can you hear me? Now we can, but you dropped out. All right, checking one, two. Can you hear me? I got my late night DJ voice on now. What do you think? My baritone, my velvet baritone. Thanks, Diane. Thank you. Good to see you. I am really excited for you guys that you're going to be diving into this masterclass today because this is a live experience. This is something that you're going to really have a change perspective on your business and how you're going to be using AI. And I'm really excited to be doing this. Type in the chat as you're coming in, where you're coming in from, and what your business is as well, like what industry you're in. Um, yeah, because I do these master classes just once a month, and they're a lot of fun, for me. We're really busy, gratefully, but I do these master classes to really help CEOs, get with it and be a first mover because there's so much happening right now with AI and marketing. And I think what's really needed is to share exactly what what path to take and what to do, because that's what's really going to help you guys be successful. So I'm really glad that you're here. Type in the chat where you're coming in from and what business you're in. This is a live discussion. This is not a video. There's enough videos out there. I'm a real person. I'm not a robot. Although I have cloned myself. I do create cloned videos, and we can talk about doing that with HeyGen and with 11 Labs for really good voice clarity. But today we're going to be talking about the $50 million homepage and the five CEO shifts that fire up AI integrated sales and marketing by Q2. So just type in the chat where you're coming in from. Elizabeth, Minnesota is in the house. Software, wonderful. Welcome. Please type in the chat because if we're not going to do that, we're not going to have a masterclass today. This is the way that we're going to work. We are going to participate. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be really cutting edge real. And it's not just because I'm from New York, but we're going to be going to have an experience today that's going to require you to have an open mind and to participate. And you may want to take some notes. You may want to take some screenshots here. We're going to go through this really fast. Welcome, Nicholas from Toronto. Diane, Boston, SaaS B2B retention consulting. Really needed now as B&B, B2B are losing lots of customers. Elizabeth, California and compliance. Hey, Elizabeth, what's going on? I think we have a customer in the house. Wonderful. Absolutely. This is great. So, this is like the reality. I mean, so many CEOs that are leading the charge with their innovation see your website one way, but the reality is your customers don't see it that way. And the world has changed. AI has turned things upside down. And I think it's just causing you as business leaders to rethink how you're doing things. So I'm really glad you guys are here today. The scary question is the AIs that are searching for your website right now, and there's ChatGPT that does search, Perplexity. A real scary question is, do these AIs understand the power of your story, power of your innovation, or will they confuse it right now with solutions that are nothing like yours? I know this is a scary question, but this is what we're going to be covering today. Hello, Dustin, Nicholas, Diane, Elizabeth, you real? Oh my God, absolutely. So Dustin, lol, yes. Okay, all right. So this is a live masterclass, and there's so much fake stuff out there. I think what the currency that we're dealing with right now and here and now is with authenticity and with trust, and that's what I'm trying to build with you guys right now. So AI aside, marketing has likely your marketing you're doing likely has a fatal flaw. And we're going to be talking about that today in these 5 shifts. The AI doesn't know your story and it can't tell it unless you teach it and train it. We're going to talk today about how do you do that for your team. Dustin, gotta check these days. I'm so glad you checked, Dustin. I love you. Big hug. Big hugs for Dustin. Hello, Tom. Welcome. So type in the chat where you're coming in from. We got a large group today. We got so much ground to cover. Because if you're positioned the wrong way, your AI integrated marketing is going to fail. So there's really fundamentally 2 things we're going to be talking about today through these 5 shifts so that you don't get these headaches. Your solution is not confused with those that are nothing like it, and you are able to communicate the value of your offering or instead of drawing 25 cards. So this is the webinar, the masterclass, the 5 shifts that CEOs make to fire up AI integrated sales and marketing. And the 2 fundamental pieces we're going to be talking about today is around your story and your strategy and positioning. Because if you don't do that right, then the AIs that you train and build aren't going to do that right. It's just going to, garbage in, garbage out. So we're going to talk about how you can actually get to that point to create 100% on-brand content, create a machine that you own. And by the way, I'm not selling software today. I'm not selling any software. This is a pathway that I'm basically helping you create so that you can create your sales emails, your proposals, your social media posts, even create GPT magnets that are 100% on brand. That's what we're going to be talking about today because marketing is sadly a money pit because it's done wrong. Um, all right, so let's see. We've got a good group of people. We've got Tom, Lizelle, Bruno, Justin, Yaha is in the house. Jenkin, what's going on, Jenkin? Dustin, Nicholas, Elizabeth. I think you're our customer, but I'm not sure. We've got some clients in the house too. Jevin, Chris, Doro, Doru, nice to see you. Peter, Chris, Paul, Andrew, awesome. So in the chat, if you haven't already, please type in the chat where you're coming in from, what business you're in. And we're going to talk today about how to get, amazing copywriting costs down to zero, and everyone on your team using a private, custom GPT trained on your story that you own, and that we're not selling. I'm not selling that. I'm just showing you how to do that today. And I saw this statistic from Neil Patel, the guru for SEO, and he was saying how most ads aren't profitable because what you're sending to people, what you're sending them to your website or a landing page is not converting. It's not telling the story right. So I'd be remiss if we weren't focusing on not just the AI piece and how to do that, but more importantly, how to train it with the right story. So if that makes sense to you, just like give me type in "make sense" in the chat because I want to get started on the right foot. Dustin, what business I'm in? AI, and founded a leading all-in-one AI platform, my guy. Well, welcome, Dustin. The leading. So says who, Dustin? Just is that you saying it's the leading? I'm just saying as one marketer to maybe another, there's a little doubt cast on anybody that says they're the leading anything. All right, because fact check that. So great. I don't mean to throw mud on your world, but we're going to be talking about the power of authentic marketing today, and that's why I'm bringing that up. We're going to be talking about how 3K worth of billable marketing can be reduced to $3 of AI credits with a pre-trained AI on your story, getting you and your team using AI in the right way so you can grow like wildflowers because the gap is widening. This is what I call the K-shaped economy. And here we are 2025. I think the companies that are implementing using AI in different facets in smart ways are going to be succeeding. So just in the chat, type in the chat, are you using AI right now and in what capacity? How are you using AI? Type that in the chat. Lizelle Mendoza in the house. Wonderful to meet you. The Mentoring Club. Thanks for coming. You guys are awesome. Because I believe by 2026, there really going to be 2 kinds of businesses. This is a big shakeout year, and there's going to be businesses that are using AI in the right way, and there are going to be businesses that are out of business. And this is how I see things. I'm the CEO of PitchKitchen. We're an AI integrated sales and marketing agency. And why is that? So that we can help you become AI integrated in your sales and marketing as well. This is that other piece. The story is your strategy, and this is why AI will fail unless you train it in the right story. I like to say transform your story and you can transform your business. And there's these two parts. The first part was really dialing your strategy and positioning. We're going to be talking about the 5 shifts to do that. And the last shift will be on how to train the AI. The AI is to be a 100% on brand content machine. All right, so let's jump into it. I want to honor you guys for taking time to work on your business. That's why you're here. And I promise you, you're going to have a breakthrough, absolute breakthrough. But let me ask you, have you been disappointed by some of the marketing you're getting out of your marketer? Just be honest. Be honest with me. Type in the chat. Have you been disappointed by what you're getting out of your human marketers? Yes or no, or maybe. Have you been also disappointed by the marketing you're getting out of ChatGPT or the results that you're getting out of ChatGPT? Be honest, type in the chat. Elizabeth, Cameron, not an AI bot, although this chat has me questioning it now. I love you, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming. And you are so far from a bot. So anyway, this message here is type in the chat. Have you been disappointed by the marketing you're getting out of ChatGPT? Have you been able to see content like, you know what, that doesn't feel like our brand, doesn't feel like our voice. It doesn't feel right. So great. I'm glad to hear that, Dustin. But you're an outlier. A lot of people in this masterclass today are struggling with that. So an untrained AI will just make you blend in with your industry. And I know your goal is to stand out. There are 3 layers of using AI, actually now 4. The first layer is when you just go to GPT and you type something in like write me a this or that. And that's using the GPT that it's been trained on. The second layer is when you train a custom GPT, and I'm using GPT as an example, but you can use any AI from Claude, which is great, or you could use Mistral, whatever you like to use, doesn't matter. But the same process is there's how you're using AI is more important than what AI you're using. But for this webinar, we're talking about GPTs. So the second layer is where you're creating a custom GPT that knows everything about your brand, your story, who your customers are, what problem you solve, what your solution is. And then on top of that, you're creating chats and chats about specific things. And there's chat memory that is being used in order to create content for emails or for proposals or for investor pitches, whatever. But those chats will have memory, but all that memory is built on top of these 3. Now, is there anything in particular here that you want, anything in particular here you want me to clarify? I'm going to move on, but it's likely many of you are using ChatGPT there at the base level, and you're not using it at that top level on top of trained GPTs. Daniel, working on fine-tuning models and building agents for staffing agencies to automate funnels. That's wonderful. That is hardcore. That's great. Most of the people here are probably not at your level. You're like black belt here. Hope you're wearing a black belt, Daniel. That's wonderful. It's not about the prompt. I'm sure you'd understand and appreciate that, Daniel. Maybe you can support me at this about this. It's about training and framing. So who am I? I am Greg Rosner. I'm the CEO of PitchKitchen. I know it's a funny name, but I like to say we're a bunch of cooks sitting around the kitchen figuring out how to better tell your story and attract ideal customers and grow your business. I'm also an AI educator and integrator running the agency, integrating sales and marketing into our clients' business with what these we call these 90-day sprints. I have built personally 95 custom trained AI GPTs for public and private companies, eliminating, as last count, about 5 million in marketing spend. That's a great thing. And not only that, but it's safer, it's faster, not only cheaper, and it's much better, higher quality than any copywriter on my team or on your team. And I can promise you that. $35 million. I sold a lot of enterprise software, and I've also been uh, designing lots of websites and lots of messaging frameworks so that companies could earn a lot more business. All right. So welcome, Lewis. Welcome, George. Type in the chat where you're coming in from. I'm going to give you guys a really amazing gift, which is a few gifts during this masterclass. But right now, we're going to talk about the craft framework even before we get into the 5 shifts, because this is an immediate, actionable thing that you can take away from this masterclass. And I use this all the time, and it's super helpful. So here it is, real quick. Whenever you're working with even the base layer, that first layer of GPT or any any AI. Think of this the acronym here. The first letter C stands for the context. Give it context. Don't just say what you want, but give it some background information. You don't have to give it 27 pages, but that's really what will create an amazingly trained GPT that will create amazing content. We're going to talk about that at the fifth shift, but give it some context, give it a role. What role do you want it to play in crafting this content? Define the audience. Who is this for? This is essential. Give it a framework, sorry, a format. What format do you want this? Is this for LinkedIn? Is this for Instagram? Is this a proposal for investors? What's the format of it? And give it the tone. Do you want it to sound like Ryan Reynolds? Do you want it to sound like uh, Jimmy Kimmel or Kermit the Frog? So that's the tone. And so when you're creating a 27 or 50 page framing document to train a GPT, all of these, you go into them in massive depth so that it's super trained. But at a minimum, use this craft framework. So is there anything specifically about this framework you've got some questions on? Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Or if else, just give me a make sense in the chat that you're going to try this out. That's what I'd love to hear. That this is useful to you, the craft framework. Have you any of you heard about this craft framework before? Type in the chat if you haven't, then use it. This is super helpful working with any AI. So this is a framework, sorry, this is a custom GPT for applied frameworks. And you can see this is really as simple that you can create a custom GPT where the document that's over here in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, that's the 45-page brains behind this with some very simple instructions, and I can go into detail about those instructions so that you get the absolute best, better, much better content that you can ever write yourself. And I'm scared to even say that, but I have seen the light on what's possible when you really train it on your own story and your own way of writing. Anyway, so I don't want this to happen to you. And I'm not sure how many you CEOs out there today have spent a shit ton of money rebranding your site, but have seen nothing for sales as a result. If that's happened to you, I don't know, give me a 999 in the chat or something, but I hope it hasn't happened to you. But let me ask you this important question. What is more important, your product or your message? Type in the chat, what's more important, your product or your message? Remember, this is a conversation we're having here, and I want you to get a lot of value from this. And the only way you're going to have value from this conversation is by getting into the conversation with me. So Lewis, yes, George. So it's not that the product isn't important. It is. It's critical. But if if that's all you've got, sadly, it's not going to work. The message and if the story isn't clear and the value isn't clear, you're not going to be successful. So I believe what stands in the way is the clarity of your brand message. And we're going to be talking about today why I'm going to encourage you to stop tolerating embarrassment about your website. Because if your website right now, your homepage, when I say website, I really mean your homepage. Forget about your website. It's a site, a place that people go to and they hear about your innovation. And if they're not getting the value of what you're offering, you're probably embarrassed by that because it shouldn't be that way. You probably have a great product or service. So I would like to say that you're not years away from doing this. It is just a shift, a narrative shift away. And that's what I'm going to help take you guys through today. So again, I do these master classes once a month. I do them for fun, but I only do them if they're still fun for me. And what makes it fun for me is if you communicate with me and type in the chat in an ongoing way as we're going through this together. Does that sound fair? Give me a yes in the chat so we can get started. The fifth shift here we're going to be talking about will only work once you make the first four shifts, because it's not just AI that we're talking about today. We're talking about how to use the AI, how to train the AI so it actually will help grow your business. I have had Oh, I need to see some more in the chat here. Can you speak to Dustin's point? I agree with the message. Dustin, product is more important. You can have the best messaging in the world and the product can fail. Absolutely. So, Dustin, I got just one question for you. Can you think of a product that was actually better, but it actually won? Can you think of one product in your history, in your life, that sadly it actually won in the market and the superior products failed? I'm sure you can think of one. Dustin, type in the chat if you can think of one. I can think of five. All right. So I have had the privilege of working with some amazing people, amazing CEOs who are really doing this the right way. This is including aware.com. It's a publicly traded company. This was their before shitty website. I'll say it. It was they're selling biometrics. What about biometrics software? But biometrics simplified, like what is that? So we help them turn around their story, and their salespeople are selling a lot more. Their growth is on target, and I'm really proud and excited about their shift. And they have made the five shifts that we're going to be talking about today, and I want you to make these shifts as well. I would say what these CEOs that we worked with do not have in common, none of them have a boring story. None of them are embarrassed by their website. None of them are wasting money on marketing. And none of them are paying team members to do things that can be automated. And none of them haven't integrated AI into their sales and marketing. So that's why I would hope that you're here. You want to get out of this class. Dustin, but truth is messaging is crucial. But if the message is wrapped around a bad product, 100%, they're both important. It's kind of like a yin and yang. Right? I'm not trying to beat up the yang here. They're both important. But I have no control over your product. You have control over it. But if you don't pin down your story, Dustin, I'm sure you'd agree, you're not going to be as successful as you can be. All right. Ground rules for these five shifts is this is not for spectators. This is for participants. I'm going to challenge the heck out of you. And it's not just because I'm fresh and I'm going to curse from New York. If you're offended by any of that, you can bow out right now. You will not be able to look at your homepage or speak your sales message the same again if you participate in this class. That's my promise. This is a live discussion. This is not a video. It's going to be harsh, I promise you. But I'm sure you're here to grow and to really get your business to the next level. All right, there won't be a replay. This is a live conversation. There are going to be free giveaways at the end for everybody here who participates. There's going to be a 16-part magnetic messaging framework that you could follow and make sure that your homepage has all the elements of the most powerful story, enrolling your ideal customers in their journey to be successful. I'm also going to give out the 12 essential sales conversations that you need to have. And I'm saying you need to have it because if you look at the last big deals that you've probably had all of these 12 conversations at different points of the deal. This is in one document. You'll see what these 12 conversations you need to have and make sure you have them in your sales process. And you can probably have 9 to 11 of them in 30 minutes. And you're going to get that at the end of this masterclass. I'm also going to be giving out a free GPT link you could use that will evaluate your website, your homepage in contrast with your competitors, and if it's telling the right story. Super valuable. All right. So this is the magnetic messaging framework. You're going to get a copy of that. Oh, I'm also going to give away this. So like I wrote a book. It's called Storycraft for Disruptors. If you have read it already, thank you. I'm glad you guys are here. If you read it, if you haven't, I'm giving away a free copy of this. It's a digital copy. But if you wanted to buy the book and put it next in your living room coffee table and read it on physical paper, because I still like to do that a little bit. If you still like to read books once in a while, or read pages of books, maybe not the whole thing. Type in books in the chat. I'm just curious. Anyway, I'm going to give away a free download PDF of that. And I didn't say you can do this, but you could upload it to GPT and ask it questions like you'd ask Socrates. Not that I'm Socrates. I'm like kind of dumb, actually. I'm kind of stupid. But the idea is that's what you can go and ask GPT or ask OpenAI, talk to me like Socrates, and it'll do that because it's been trained on everything Socrates wrote. All right, so guys, if you're here, I will not pitch you. Uh, this is a no pitch situation. At the end, I will be offering 5 CEOs an opportunity to book a free 45-minute AI integrated sales and marketing enablement session. If you are a fit, we'll talk about more of that later. Does that sound fair? So give me a yes in the chat or no if you don't think that sounds fair. Give me a yes or no, and we will get started. We got a yes, Elizabeth, Dustin, George, Lewis, books on iPad. Absolutely. I like to cuddle up on my Eames chair in the living room with my kids watching Bluey, reading a couple pages. All right. So, who is your ideal customer? This is key. Keep in mind as we go through these five shifts who your ideal customer is, because how well you understand them, keeping your arm wrapped around them, big heart out to your ideal customers. This is your biggest competitive advantage. So, if you're here, it's likely because you're selling an innovation and you're revolutionizing something. Type me a one in the chat if that's you, if that's who you are. You as a CEO, you're probably selling something that's breakthrough, something that's different, something that's better than anything that's else out there, and you're probably revolutionizing the way something is done. If that's two, just give me a one in the chat, just so I know. It's got a Lewis, Dustin, George. Anybody else? And if it's not you, then maybe this is the wrong masterclass for you. Maybe you should bow out and get out and get your time back. But if this is you, you're in the right place. Daniel, George, Justin, Elizabeth. All right. Bad news though. So I believe that you're here because you're selling an innovation. But in a similar way, I think someone said like that we're the leading or we're an innovation. Who gets to say that you are selling an innovation? Does your brand get to say you are selling an innovation? Yes or no? Type in the chat. Does your voice of your brand get to say that? Yes or no? So George says yes. So maybe look at this. I took this from a website from our participant in the last month's masterclass. This is what it said at the top of their website, who we are. They said on their website that they're all about courage and accountability and compassion and excellence. Just because they say this, that this is who they are, yes or no in the chat, do you believe them? Is this enough for you to believe that they are accountable, they are compassionate, they are excellent, they are courageous, and that they are trustworthy? So hell no. Who said I think so? Well, that's wonderful. Go hire them. I'll turn you on to them. But this is the same thing. This is a mindset shift. So if you're pushing your innovation as a CEO, I get it. But what happens if you're pushing your innovation in markets that look like this? Type in the chat. And this is maybe not your market. Maybe you don't have as many competitors. Maybe you think you've got no competitors. But there's a lot of noise out there, isn't there? So this is what you're up against. But the good news is the world needs your solution. They need your innovation, and I am really excited to help you with these five shifts. That logo is ours, George. Big heart to George. Hey, we're in the middle. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go back. Where's your logo? It's like find Waldo. Find Waldo. So definitely read the book. You get a lot of value from that. And so let me say, this is who this masterclass is not for. It's not for CEOs or people that don't run their business. It's not for businesses that don't sell an innovative product. It's not for businesses that don't already have successful customers. So if you don't have successful customers, don't waste your time here because it's not for you. If you're not committed to helping your customers, then this is not for you. You can leave. This is for businesses that haven't grown by 500%. So if you're growing by like 500% each year, then perhaps you're doing fine. You don't even need to be here and products and services that don't require prospects to change. So if you're selling something that requires zero change for your product, your customers, your prospects to do, then this is not for you. And it's not for you if you can't invest the time and money into doing this. It's not for you. All right. So my promise to you in the next 45 minutes, we're going to show you how to nail your sales message, even if what you're selling is sophisticated, complex, and needs to be demonstrated, how to turn your homepage into what I like to say a home run for the perfect buyers, why it's game over for most marketing playbooks, and what you need to do instead. And if you don't change your marketing playbook and you're training the GPTs, or you're not even training GPTs on the best marketing playbook, it's going to play by the wrong playbook. Because guess what? GPT has been trained on. Just type in the chat if you know what the billions and billions of words that OpenAI trained it's AI's on. Just type in the chat if you know what it's been trained on. We're going to talk. My promise to you is how to attract ideal customers into buying conversations and lead your category, even if they've never heard of your solution, and how to get AI to create a torrent of 100% on brand content that's better, faster, cheaper than anything your team could write without hallucinations or fancy prompting. I'm talking lazy prompting for you and your team. That's my promise to you. So I'm excited about this. So, but first, is this you? I would say before I start there, woohoo! Plus newspapers, the entire internet. That's right. That's what it's trained on. Plus newspapers and books. So your solution is amazing and customers love you, but I would say you and your sales reps are you guys working so hard explaining why your customers, your prospects should care? Like why they should care. If you're doing that, you haven't made these shifts. We're going to talk about this. Do you feel like your innovation, your product really should be a no-brainer? But for some reason, it is a brainer for some people. You have a marketer marketing, but it isn't turning into sales. And this happens. A lot of money is spent on marketers that are happy to market all day, but for some reason, it's not turning into sales. And it could be for many reasons, but we're going to be talking about the shifts that you need to make so that it does turn around. Have you asked GPT to write you a blog, a post, or marketing, and it was just rubbish? Has that happened to you? Then you're in the right place to get through, make these shifts. If you're demoing a lot, your team is demoing like what your product is, but it's not turning into sales as much as you think it should. Even 6 months later, if people are showing up confused about what they thought they were going to see versus what they actually see, if you see your sales cycles increasing, you see average deal size decreasing, you see win rates going down. If this is happening to you guys, I see this happening a lot out there. There's a reason for this, and it's not a sales problem, and it's not a marketing problem. It's a positioning problem, and we're going to be talking about the shifts that you need to make as the leader of your business to do that. Welcome, Bruna. If you've read these amazing books, like Building a Story Brand from Donald Miller, or This is Marketing from Seth Godin, or Keenan's Gap Selling. If you read some of these books, and I hope that you have, but if you haven't made the changes that in your mind you know you need to make in your business, in your story, on your homepage, in how your sales reps are talking about your company, your product, then you haven't made these shifts. Because knowing about how to do it and actually doing it in your messaging, in your marketing are two different things. And it has to do with the shifts that you need to make. All right. So let me hash through this pretty fast. You're probably spending a lot of money on website people and social media people and maybe even PPC, but you're probably missing a single compelling, easy to tell story that brings it all together, almost like a string that's holding together all the pearls that is the features of your product. If you're missing that, you haven't made these shifts. If you've got sales presentations that look like documents with page numbers because you're making up for the fact that your homepage isn't doing the heavy lifting on the storytelling, then you haven't made these shifts. If you're using language on your website like this, look at these words on the screen. Do you have any of these words on your homepage right now? These self-ascribed words like best in class, or I think we had one here. I think it was Dustin. I don't mean to beat you up, Dustin, but you said like leading, the leading. That's like self-ascribed language. If this is the way that you're talking, what's the problem? It's like we're going to talk about this, and I'll tell you, GPT is happy to give you language like this, and it's not doing you any favors for converting your ideal customers. All right. Are using slides that is more like a Frankendeck, 60 slides or even 25 slides that is built over time that is compensating for the fact that your homepage doesn't do that work. You haven't made these shifts. All right. And if you think that the solution is to just produce more content, produce more ROI calculators or case studies, and that's going to make it work, but you realize, well, that's not actually helping, you haven't made the shifts. Also, if you think your sales, if you think your solution is so sophisticated and every customer is unique that you struggle, you're frustrated with actually simplifying your story, and you can't really do it. You're struggling with it, and your marketer is just marketing content that talks about how amazing your product is, but it's complex, it's complicated. Then you haven't made these shifts. But here's the deal. The good news is that those are symptoms. Those are not really the problems you have. The real problem that you have is you haven't made these 5 shifts. But once you make these 5 shifts, I can promise you this is what's going to happen. You're going to have complete confidence in marketing. You're going to spend a lot less on marketing. You're going to lead your category in a category of one, accelerate qualification of deals. Your leadership team and everybody in your team is going to be running in the same direction. Everyone is going to be singing from the same hymn sheet, I like to say. And that's probably something that's not happening today for you guys. And you'll also be able to create absolute tons, like a month's worth of content in an hour. That is 100% on brand everywhere, every month without hiring anybody. We're going to talk about that, how you can make this shift today and how to attract ideal prospects showing up to your first conversation with them and they're predisposed to want to work with you, buy your solution and move forward. So that's my promise to you. And I'm really excited you guys are in the conversation. So if you guys are excited to have this conversation with me as I am having with you, give me I don't know, give me something in the chat. Give me some love in the chat. Give me some heck yes. Give me some let's go or type let's go in the chat or something. Woot woot. What does woot, WOOT mean? Is that an acronym? What does that mean? Woot. Rocket. Celebrate. Rocket. All right. All right. Let's dive in. So the first shift that you need to make, we're going to get to the AI stuff. We're going to get to that. I want to show you how to use AI, how to train it. But before we do, there's some fundamental shifts that have to happen, the first four, so that the fifth shift, training your AIs and how to do it, makes sense. So bear with me. This is really a roller coaster we're going to go on. All right. The first shift you need to do is to lead a movement. So why are we talking about leading a movement? If you're selling an innovation, I know you guys are. What does that mean? What is your innovation you're selling? What does it challenge anything? What is your innovation challenge? What is your type in the chat? If you're selling something that's different than everything else out there, doesn't it challenge something? What does it challenge specifically? And I like to call the thing that you're challenging the enemy that you have, because that's why you built your innovation, because it's going to conquer the beast that your customers are suffering with. So both you and your customers have this enemy in common. Is that right? Type in the chat that you both, yes or no. Do you share this common enemy, which is the confusion and boring content? That is for you. Absolutely. It could be for you, especially if you're selling something that is helping people with that. Decreasing healthcare reimbursement. Yes, that sounds like I love that, Tom. I love that. That sounds like the enemy that you were both. So look at what Salesforce.com did. Like, I'm not a big fan of Salesforce.com. I couldn't care less about their business. In fact, I hate their software. Anyway, they're wildly successful company, and they started out not so successful, but this is back in 2005. Do you remember this? Where they attacked the villain of the story, the enemy, which was software. Then they said, look, go to the cloud, the new CRMs in the cloud. Do you remember this? Anyone remember this stuff back in 2005? Well, Mark Benioff crushed it with this approach. And this is about leading a movement. This is the first shift that you need to do as a leader in your business. And think about very specifically what is the enemy that you are helping your clients overcome? What is the thing that you want to have them to stop doing and what do you want them to start doing? So the old way that you'd be pitching in the voice of your messaging and your marketing, this is the first shift about leading a movement instead of to stop pitching and to lead a movement instead. The old way is that you're pitching. You're basically making claims about why we're the best, why we're the leading. And that's the arrogant way that doesn't work in the world of flooded with solutions. That's a world that doesn't exist anymore where you're trying to convince people why you're the best and it doesn't work. So stop doing it. The better way is where you're encouraging change. You're pointing out through thought leadership why the old way is dead. It doesn't work anymore because things have changed. And this aspect of leading with a movement, leading with an idea, that is going to resonate with some people. It's going to piss off some people, but that's fine. They aren't your customers. Your ideal customers will get this. Do you think your ideal customers will understand, will appreciate the nexus that Chris Orlob speaks about, the polarizing statement that you make, the the it may shake their confidence, but in a good way, and it may change the way your buyer thinks about the problem. This is so powerful. So the enemy is overspending, disjointed workflows from Dustin. Love that. Overcomplicated AI tools. Love that. Type in the chat too if you know what you're rebelling against. What are you rebelling against? So I know you guys are so excited about the innovation. You're selling something awesome. You're helping the world be a better place with your solution. But if you're not leading a movement against something, rebelling against something, then you're just selling, you're pitching your wares, and it doesn't work anymore. So this is a very powerful thing that I want you guys to do. It's a polarizing statement where you're saying you need to stop doing something and start doing something else. So if you know what this is, you just want to experiment, type in the chat what you're telling your ideal customers. So you've got your arm around right now, you're thinking about them. All right, what are you telling them? And I'm putting up a heart here because I feel the love. This is why you're in business, is to help your customers be successful. I love what Christopher Voss says is stop chasing yes in his book. Anyone here read that book from Christopher Voss? I'm a student of his. And I love the whole chapter where he has stop chasing yes, start getting people to say no. And it makes so much sense because, in sales, we're like tired of salespeople, even marketers trying to get us to say yes to things. Instead, ask questions like, hey, are you good? Are you perfectly fine with the way your business is headed right now with your marketing? Are you good with that? So that's chasing a no. That's asking people if they are good, well, then great. But if they're not good with it, well, that's the beginning of actually helping someone. So I love that concept. Anyway, I like to say stop pitching because this doesn't work in marketing anymore. And your marketers you're probably paying today and the GPTs that you're using are probably pitching. They're not leading a movement. So this is the fundamental shift that you need to make. And by training your your AIs with this, you're going to see a world of difference in your messaging. I love this from this is an example from aware.com where they're taking people through the rebellion against the old way. The world has changed. The 2010s, where digital access was the only way, that the world has changed and that way doesn't work anymore. So this is they're bringing their customers to a world of intelligent biometrics. So it works so much better. Anyway, because it's bringing AI into the mix. All right. I want to move fast here. I believe that sales is an act of leadership. If you believe that, do you believe that also? That if you're helping your clients overcome some problems, that essentially you're leading them, you're helping them. So I believe marketing is also an act of leadership and helping them change. Do you believe that too? And so I don't believe that you should do a TED talk, but if you were to do a TED talk, it would probably be describing a world that you want to take your customers to. And this getting really clear on what that world is something you can train your AIs on. And if they know that world that you're helping your clients get to, that world, so it has nothing to do with your product. It has nothing to do with your features. It has everything to do with the outcomes that your clients enjoy once they use your solution or services. All right, so there's an example from Live Anywhere from Airbnb. So let's take a look at some hashtags. You see hashtags all the time, but most hashtags suck. Most of them are shitty. Most of them are shitty because they're just end aggrandizing the product. But very good ones, if you study social movements like I have through some work from Dr. Michelle Mazur, who wrote a book called The Three-Word Rebellion. Wonderful book. I highly recommend it. I learned that social movements happen when you paint a picture of a better world in 3 words or 5 words. And you look at what all these hashtags have in common, and whether you agree with them or not, it's attracting their ideal people. Like Make America Great Again, whether you love or hate Donald Trump doesn't matter. What matters is that was a marketing hashtag that called people, a tribe of people, and it turns out to be the majority of Americans whether we like it or not, to a vision of the future. But look at all these others, like Own Your Tomorrow. That's from Charles Schwab. And that's calling from Charles Schwab, people who are worried about their future, that they feel they lack ownership about what they can have in the future. And that does a great job at it. So type in the chat here, and we're talking about leading a movement or leading a rebellion. What would be your hashtag? What that would be following this structure? And do you notice a structure here with all of these hashtags? What do they all have in common? What do they all have in common? See if you can detect this. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT. You can take a screenshot of this and say, "Hey, what do all these have in common?" And GPT will help you with that. But I'll tell you, they all start with a verb. They all start with an action. And that's because if you believe that sales and marketing is an act of leadership, helping your clients be missed it, bummer, missed it, then you need to tell them what they need to do in order to be successful. So this may sound easy to you, and you probably say, "Oh yeah, I know that," but it is hard. It really is hard. So type in the chat, what is your hashtag? And I promise I won't to be too harsh on you guys if it's really bad, but I'm going to try to coach you on getting your hashtag nailed. Now I don't know what your business is, so you need to give like a one few words on like what your industry is, so that I have some context. Otherwise, like you saw those hashtags without having context, it's hard to know if the hashtags work. So just want to say, Jeff Aronson, CEO of EquipX, before he made these shifts with his team, confusing marketing content. Pipeline was thin, letting key partners and investors down, and losing deals to no decision. Afterwards, tripled the revenue in 4 months and 6x their pipeline. And it was through positioning shifts for their sales team. Their partners now are selling easily because it's simple what they're selling. And I know that he's delighted and grateful that the business is finally materializing. All right. So George, prevent failure. So I like that because it starts with a verb. I don't have context, so I can't say if it's good or bad. Uncover your insight. So I like that because it starts with a verb, but I don't know what the product is. So just give us a little bit more context, but that's good. All right. So if software development, I mean, if your niche is developing software so that there are no failures, that might be great, but I don't know. Need to know more context. All right. So is there anything that I can clarify around this first shift that you need to make about leading a movement? Is there anything that I can clarify before we move on? So Daniel, give me some context there. I like wow your audience, but what is the context? So does this make sense? The need to lead a movement. Is there anything I can clarify? So give me a no. If there's no, if there's how's that for a no-oriented question? Hope Chris Voss is listening. Is there anything I can clarify? And that would be the opposite of make sense, right? Does it make sense? Yes, would be easy, but I can get a counterfeit yes, as Chris Voss says. But is there anything I can clarify? And I want to see no's there in the chat. No, 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 no. Give me a no, somebody. Okay, so question, are you saying we should, yes, please include context here in this masterclass. The CEO, sophisticated product and services, and she tripled their sales because of the messaging that they're using. And the messaging, I mean positioning, marketing, and sales talk. So I like to blend them all together because I think marketing's purpose is to help sales, and sales purpose is not really just to take orders from people, but is to actually check it out, help people change, help people improve. Do you believe that? I believe that in my heart that that's what sales is for, helping people change. Give me a thumbs up or heck yes in the chat if that's what you believe. I believe that. All right. So, number two, the second shift is start with the problem. So, so many of your websites, your marketing that your marketers are doing today is starting with the solution. But why not start with your solution in your messaging? Why not do that? Can anyone say why not? I mean, we talked about this before. Daniel, your logo is somewhere here in the middle, but all of these are solutions and it's all noise. But what attracts people is not the solution because people very rarely, only bottom of the funnel folks are looking for solution. Middle and top of funnel are looking for solutions or looking for uh, anyone out there in the universe who understands their problem. So I like to say that if you're starting with the problem, you're setting up a scenario where you're creating messaging that is resonant with what people are facing right now. And I know that money in organizations, if you're selling B2B, and if you're selling B2B, you imagine you guys are, if you're selling B2C, maybe harder to follow some of these things. But if you're selling B2B, money follows pain. If you spend any time selling anything to an organization, you'll know that. And you'll also know that customers buy more feeling understood than by them understanding how amazing your solution is. Let me say this again. Customers will buy more feeling understood than by them understanding you. And this is revolving around your messaging, starting with the problem. Now, most of your messaging today, if you look at your website, is likely solution centric, solution focused. You're probably selling a vitamin versus a painkiller, but people are twice more likely to buy something to relieve pain than to gain something. So much marketing is about, oh, you can get this, and this will help you do this and help you achieve these amazing results. But this is not why people buy. It's not why businesses buy. If you don't agree with me, please type in the chat. That's bullshit, Greg. I don't agree with you. Please do. But if this makes sense to you, you need to make this shift. Solution marketing doesn't work anymore. And if you work with ChatGPT and you ask it to write you content, it's going to be chock full of solution marketing unless you train it to do this. Because the marketing that you're doing around solution marketing doesn't help people understand why they should change now, and why they should change with your solution or service. All right, in the chat, I see. George, are you saying we should include context? Yes. No, the hashtag should not have context, but in this masterclass, please put it there. So back to this old way, new way. If your pitch is starting with the solution, it's not going to work. It's just going to drown in a sea of solutions. It needs to start with the problem. So one way to flip this with your messaging that your salespeople are using is, instead of saying, we help companies achieve compliance, we help companies achieve these amazing outcomes, flip it around. And in your language, in way you talk about your product, you're saying, we help companies who are struggling with X. We help companies who are frustrated with X. So I just like to see in the chat, can you type in the chat, as if this is a masterclass as it is, how would you pitch your thing that starts with the problem? And then as a CEO, you got to lead the charge with this. You need to do it for your team. Do it for the team. Do it for them. Type in the chat here what your pitch would be where you're starting with the problem. Love to hear this. Okay. So this is what I call the buyer's belief curve. Now, you've read Crossing the Chasm, Jeffrey Moore. In my book, you'll see a whole chapter dedicated to the risk of changing versus the risk of doing nothing. Now, I believe that your prospective customers, that they find themselves anywhere along this chart. But the people who will really buy, the people who you need to be focusing on in your positioning and your messaging, are the people who feel that the risk of doing nothing in their business for the next month, the next year, the next several years is greater than the risk of them staying the same. So is there anything here that you'd like me to clarify, or does this make sense to you? So makes sense, it makes sense, type makes sense in the chat, or if there's something you want me to clarify about this buyer's belief curve. This is part of the second shift that you need to make, where you're focused on the risk of doing nothing in your marketing and your positioning. So Lewis, problem, are you hiring the right people for your culture? So that's like a no-oriented question. So interesting. So maybe that's begging a no instead of a yes. I like that. All right. So these are some examples. Type in the comments here. What's the number one problem you solve? Type in the chat. This is a little bit of a pop quiz because so often people get this wrong. I mean, CEOs of big companies get this wrong. So don't be embarrassed if you get this wrong. I am here to help you dial in your message, your story, so your team can sell a heck of a lot more. You can do a lot more business and make the world a better place. So just type in the comments now, what is the number one problem you solve? So George, software failures in production. Love that. Dustin, disjointed AI tools and workflows. Love that. Great. Good job. Come on, guys. More in the chat. What's the number one problem you solve? So far, A plus for both George and Dustin. Who else we got here? We got Nicholas, Jenkin, Daniel, Lewis, Paul is in the house. All right. Last mile delivery route optimization. So Doru, I'm going to give you a C minus for that. Why am I giving Doru last mile delivery route optimization? Anyone could tell me why I'm going to give her a C minus. So Lewis, identify your culture and find your best hire. So I would say, Lewis, I'm going to give you a D on that one. Why am I giving both Duro and Lewis a D on both those? Anyone else who's here? I will say you're getting a D because those aren't problems. That's right, Dustin. Those are solutions. That's solution talk. And so this is hard, and I totally get it. It's hard, but you need to do this if you want to cut through the noise. Problems are present, they're clear, and they're that's what is resonant with your ideal customers. Solutions are not. Solutions are future goals, and that's vitamin talk. Okay. All right. So thank you, Dora. I'm glad that was helpful. So facts don't change people's minds. If you just tell people, oh, well, this is 90% better. If you say that your solution is 90% better, will that change people's minds to buy? Yes or no? Type in the chat. It's 90% better. Is that enough to get people to buy? So facts do not change people's minds. And nobody cares about your why. Nobody cares about your business or your product. I know that's harsh, but what do people believe in? People believe in the things that they themselves decide, not the things that you tell them. And starting with the problem, and this is a second shift, because if you can describe the problem better than your ideal customers have, it means that you know more about their problem. And obviously, if you know more about their problem, you must have created something that is awesome. It's like the best thing that, like, automatically I'm going to think it's going to solve my problems because you were able to describe my problem. Like, that's right. That's another thing I got from Chris Voss. If you get people to say that's right in their minds, that's right, that is it. You get me. You understand me, then they're going to automatically believe that you have the best solution. This is so much more powerful than starting with solutions. So the GPTs that you're using, if they're not trained on starting with the problem in your messaging, you're not going to get good content. It's just going to be noise, and that's not what the world needs more. So is there anything I can clarify about starting with the problem? Is there anything I can clarify starting with the problem in your shift that you need to make in all of your sales and marketing? It's fundamental. So I'd like to get a no here. That would be as a no. If I say, does that make sense? Would be a yes. Um, is there anything I can clarify here? Would be a no. So I know it's going to be confusing. It's going to be some yeses in the chat and some nos, but that's okay. I love confusion sometimes. All right, so George, you're trying to formulate a question. So Warren Johnson, the CEO of ScribeX, they're selling an innovative AI-supported scribe system. Before the shifts, stagnant growth, good salespeople were leaving because they couldn't be successful. They were trying to convince people to buy something that customers like, I thought this was something else. The value of innovating wasn't getting across, and they were missing forecasts. After he made the shifts. They went from 137 customers to nearly 3,000 in 12 months. So this is really powerful stuff. I don't have time to go into manage, but he also had an amazing result. It grew exponentially since 2022. So this is hard because market is going to market, GPTs and AIs are going to market all day for you. There are blind spots here. They've been trained, just like your marketers have been trained on outdated playbooks. The status quo is a lot riskier. Sorry, the status quo is less risky than change. They're just rather keep doing what they're doing. And a lot of businesses don't make it. And I want you guys to be successful. All right. Fancy GPT prompts won't save you because it's trained on marketing from 2015. All right, so the shift number 3 is make your customer the hero. So I know you've heard this before, but if they're the hero, what does that make your brand? Type in the chat. What does that make your brand if they're the hero of the story? The guide, absolutely. George, could our effort be to help them understand what is the danger of not making their change? Yes, um, like a doctor would, for sure. The doctor frame would point that out. But I would rather the doctor would probably position it with asking them to what would happen if you're unable to do this in a year? Would you be okay with that? So it's getting them to a no. So if they're the hero, who does that make you? Should we spend the time? Yeah. Um, it makes you the trusted advisor. If you're the guide, who's the villain of the story? We talked about the villain. That needs to be important. So you need to train your AI on the characters of the story. And there's several. There's also the champions and the adversaries. And you probably have a complex but set of stakeholders in a selling. If you're selling as like a 100K solution, there's probably several stakeholders there, from adversaries to champions to heroes. And you need to train the AIs about the whole thing so that it really understands the context. So, right now, if I were to ask you, what is your marketing in love with? And love is everything, right? Love is everything. We're talking about story here. But what would you say your homepage is in love with? Type in the chat. I mean, be honest. Be honest right now. So if it's in love with Uh, but spending with the time with others could already know it. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Yes, I'm sorry, Dora. If it is, it's not successful. It's not helping you win business. It's not helping your customers do better. And when I say your customers do better, I hope that that's why you're in business, to help your customers do better. Yeah, that was a previous answer. Okay. So a lot of CEOs, every CEO wants to make your customer the hero. Most marketers say, I can do that. The reality is nobody has any idea how to do that. Um, now, it comes down to the voice, and you can train your AIs on what the voice is you want it to take. And you train it through a document. We're going to be talking about the magnetic messaging framework that you need to create to train your AIs and your staff on the voice. And the voice is the old way. The voice is, well, why we're the best. Well, we're the best because of X, Y, and Z. The new way is, this is how we make you better. And this is why you need to be better. And this is what is at stake if you don't get better. So this is taking the voice of a doctor frame, or a trusted advisor frame. Very powerful stuff. All right, so let's get on to the fourth shift here. The fifth shift. This is about magnetic messaging call to action, which are more specific, more better. You don't want to have shitty, lame, vague calls to action on your website. The guide, the doctor would give very specific calls to action, like you see on the right side there. Also, if you have a website with a form on it for people to put their name, their email address, then get rid of it. Absolutely delete it. Put it because most deals go to die. I think 60% go to die in email back and forth from forums on websites. So just upgrade that. Either put a chatbot will help people convert to booking a time, or put a Calendly on the homepage with, of course, once they pick and commit to a date and time, Tuesday at 2 o'clock, they're putting in their name and their email address so that they've committed to that first. So this is like a simple tip, but you got to get with that program in order to do a lot better on your conversions. So this is Patricia. She did great, and I'm so happy about her business. She also sent me an email here pointing out, after she made a post on LinkedIn using the new messaging, within minutes was booked by an ideal customer. So this is what people pay attention to. This is the story. Stories matter. And if your story is making your product the hero and your voice is in love with your product, you're not going to make it. All right. So if you want me to offer some in the end of this masterclass, a couple quick tips about your website, type in your URL and we'll get to that at the end. Happy to do that. All right, the fourth shift. First of all, you guys with me? Shall we continue? Am I going too fast? Is there anything in here that you want me to clarify? All right. Um, the fourth shift is to name your category. Now, this is a really powerful thing to do. Every big company, when they were small, but they made a big shift, they named their category. And I want you guys to do this. So, name your category is the big shift. So, it's typically a, a prefix or a pre word connected to an existing category name. So like this, telephone, mobile phone, smartphone, and who knows what's coming next. So it's typically a pre-word or a prefix. So Apple's doing this with spatial computing. Computing is a category, but what way does this product change computing? So the idea of computing is the big category. Apple is a company within the computing category. And if we zoom into Apple, they have created a little bubble, a ripple in the universe, a ding, a ping in the universe called spatial computing. And they own it. These are words that they own. And you need to own your words and your category. You need to train the GPTs and the AIs of the category that you're owning. And this is where the thought leadership comes in. So an existing category, existing market, known products, and then your product, and then a specific category. So NVIDIA just recently did this 3 weeks ago. And this is a big company, I get it. But they've created a category called accelerated computing. They've added that. So that's their category. They're crushing it right now. So umbrella category and your unique category. So does this make sense? Just conceptually. Give me a yes in the chat if this makes sense. Apple Intelligence is doing this. So I'm going to go through a couple examples like comfort ownership, smart forms, as ReadyWorks is doing this versus the old way is checklists, smart forms, video intelligence versus video libraries. Um, here's intelligent recovery versus just data backup. Collaborative care organization, a CCO versus a PPO. So these are companies on the right side of my screen that have all created categories. And what that essentially means is a word in front of an existing category that they're in that defines their competitive advantage. So if you've done this already, type in the chat what your a unique category is. If you haven't done this, now's a good time. Try it on for size. Give it a whirl. Come on, do it. What's the worst thing that can happen? A little of embarrassment? Ah, come on. You're not a CEO of a company if you can't handle a little bit of embarrassment. I get embarrassed all the time. Non-invasive skin closure. Love that, Chris. Love that. Democratized AI. Democratized AI. So interesting. Very good. If you know what your category is, type it in the chat. All right. So now we're going to unlock the fifth shift, which is the secret weapon. And this is the use of AI and how to use AI is what we're going to be talking about right now. So do you have a core messaging framework document? And I know the answer to this is no, because the core frame, I mean, if you do, type in yes and just type in like, how many pages is it? Like, what is it? Like, because very few companies actually have a core messaging framework document, which is essentially the craft framework, but it's 47 pages worth of craft. It's exactly all the nuances and all the details. So Dustin, you've got the black belt, so I would expect nothing less from you, Dustin. But I'm sure, Dustin, if you were to give me a percentage of what companies you think actually have taken the time to extract the insights about the problems that their customers have, the the world that their customers want to live in, the features, uh, the kinds of ideal customers that they want. I mean, what percentage, Dustin, do you think businesses or CEOs have actually done this work already? It's like it's like 0.0001%. It's like really low. So that's great that you have it. And this is what really people need to do, CEOs need to do. So if you've been disappointed by marketing content, it's because you're just prompting and you're likely not using even the craft framework, but it's more likely that you're uh, uh, not training a GPT on your framework. So I like to say, hey, ChatGPT 2015 called, they want their marketing lingo back. Have you noticed when you're working with ChatGPT using words like realm or embrace or unlock? So give me a like write a word in the chat that you've seen like so much come up. So like when people say, "Oh, I can tell that that was written by AI," and it's because there are these dead giveaways of shitty words that are used in 2015 or 2010, like Dell, exactly. These are shitty words that the base layer, not the top layer, but the base layer of GPT has been trained on. Now, if you can train GPT on your messaging framework, that is the secret weapon. So get AI to become your marketing expert in your brand voice, but how? So I like to say do this through the secret weapon. Work with an AI integrated sales and marketing agency that engages like an outside expert, basically me and my team, to facilitate interviews, get the gold out of your hearts and minds, even with prospects and customers of yours, create a positioning team, use and apply the most effective problem first frameworks. Once that's done, use the framework and train a GPT that's 100% on brand content, and you would own that GPT and use it for your team for free forever, and transform your website, presentations, emails, and marketing at 25x efficiency. No shit, that actually happens. So we work with our clients not just to train the GPTs, but also to design the website, the prototype, the sales presentation, the lead generating webinar, the thought leadership. You can see all this stuff that happens in month 2 and month 3 because we've locked down in month 1 what that story needs to be. And that's when we're bringing all the AI to the equation. This, by the way, is a screenshot of I guess it's a 20-page document that trained a GPT on a particular business. And that's why they're getting really great results, amazing results. So it's a bit of a journey that you need to go on, but when you go on it, you're getting to that third level, where the second level is you train the GPT and then you're chatting with that to produce content that's 100% on brand. So, is there anything about this that you'd like me to clarify in the chat? Is there anything in this that you'd like me to clarify before we move on? All right. So, we're talking about AI integrated sales and marketing as an agency, and I do that so that our clients can integrate AI into their sales and marketing as well. Great. I'm glad, Dustin, this seems clear to you, but you are a black belt. I was experimenting with Notebook LM, and this is so cool. This is an experiment from Google, and it creates like a podcast based on training data. So if you upload the messaging framework document, the 45-page document, it will create a podcast. Oh my gosh, for your organization. And I listened to it with my client, and our mouths were open. It was unbelievable. So once you've done this work and you've trained the GPT with a framework, not only can you redesign your website and we can help you with the design of that, and we can help you with the sales presentations and all the stuff that you would traditionally work with a marketing and sales agency on, but you're doing it at hyper growth speed. So, I mean, I'm going to pop out over here for a second so you can just see these are the GPTs that I've trained for our clients. There's a lot of them. And you click on any of them, and you can start a chat with them. These are available to me, but they're not available to the world. But you can select who you wanted to share it with. But you can see if you edit the GPT, you can see what it's trained on. It's trained on a single document, which is that magnetic messaging framework. It's it's uh, it's provided some very brief prompting, which is like, please do not use any of these words. Remember that bucket of shitty words? We just said don't use those. But it's basically saying, who you are, top marketing copywriter that knows everything about what cyber does. Use the attached framework document as your primary training for writing anything, and use the hashtag. So it's minimal training so that you can use a prompt like this. You use this GPT and say something like, yo, 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 what's up? So, like, I'm purposely making mistakes here. Write me a cool blog like Ryan Reynolds. So, like, spelling mistakes everywhere. This is like the worst prompt ever. I didn't even use the craft framework here. But what you get out from a lazy prompt is a result that is 100% on brand and beautiful and much better than you or any one of your copywriters could write because it's been trained. This is mind blowing. So it's mind blowing for me. And I use this every day. I've been working with AI full time for about a year, and it's still freaking mind blowing for me. So Is this mind blowing for you, or do you guys like, oh, this is old hat? We see this every day. Like, what do you guys think? Type in the chat. Is this like mind blowing when you see this results? Yes or no? All right. It is cool. Absolutely. So, Masood, I know he was frustrated before he made these shifts. Sales were declining, 30 demos to one sale, which is awful. Like, God forbid that happens to you. Anxious about limited financial runway. This was their terrible website, absolutely shitty before. After they made the messaging shift, their website was beautiful. It was clear. It called out to their ideal customers. It spoke to the problem. And afterwards, tripled their at bats to sales, doubled their win rate in 2 months. And new salespeople were closing deals. So I am so proud of Masood's changes. All right. So that was my promise to you that we would talk about how to nail your sales message, how to turn your homepage into a home run, why it's game over for most marketing playbooks, and certainly the playbook that GPT has been trained on out of the box, how to attract ideal customers into a buying conversation and lead your category in a category of one, and how to get AI to create a torrent of 100% on brand content. So that was my promise to you. What you need to win: five things. Lead a movement. Don't just push your product. Start with the problem, not your features, but make sure it's problem resonant with words that your customers would use describing their problem on your website. Make your customer the hero instead. So, yeah, make your customer the hero instead of your product or solution. Name your category. That's what you got to do, and use the secret weapon. So, um, yeah, I would say now you have a choice. This is it. This is the masterclass here. You can do nothing, say this is great. You can go it alone, or you can get help. I'd recommend that you get help. And to do that, I would say you can book a meeting here with us. I'm going to put this up on the screen as an offer. You can just as calendar booking. You'll see that on the upper right hand corner. Or if you snap your phone on that QR code, we'll definitely be there to help you. So the two parts that you need to pin down is that magnetic messaging framework and then getting the AI integrated and set up for you and your team. And we typically do that through 3-month sprints, but there are other models that we can help you with. So there's the QR code. If you wanted to meet and have a strategy session about how we're going to help you get there, I would say book a session here, click on that link, answer those questions. During this discussion, we'll get clear on what you got to do, and we'll get it done. We'll talk about a way to get it done for you. Again, it's not just the AI stuff, it is actually getting the content created and built and published so that you guys can start generating a lot more sales. So this is free. There's no strings attached, of course, except if you qualify. So giveaway time. Yay. I'm going to give out the magnetic messaging framework and the 12 conversations. Let's do that now. Up on the right side of your screen, I'm sharing a handout. You can see download that now. There's a PDF of the 16-part magnetic messaging framework, the 12 sales conversations that open minds and close deals. I'm putting that in the chat now. There's a link for that. And I'm also putting in the chat the free GPT. It's like a Swiss Army knife, and you can use that to uh, critique your website and give you some specific things that you should change for better conversions using the magnetic messaging framework. The next thing I want to give away is my book. Yeah, where is my book? Here it is. This is a PDF of the book, but I would recommend, since if you like actually reading paper books, it's not on Kindle yet, but actually I think it is. The Storycraft is on Kindle now. But if you want to buy the physical book, you can do that on Amazon, and you can just search Storycraft or Storycraft for Disruptors to find it very quickly. And it's on Amazon. But there is the PDF that you could download it and take a copy of that there. All right, so I will take a look at some of the websites. If you want me to critique your website, just go there in the chat. We've got Dustin, Daniel, Paul, and George. I would say if you don't hire an outside expert, you will struggle to do this alone. I have worked in AI, as I said, full time in the last just about 12 months. And I've realized the power of messaging positioning in helping the AIs do great work and to 25x efficiency. And that's a big number, but that's what we see. Anyway, your marketers are typically, they're not paid to take an opposing view. They're paid to write content for you that you're going to love. They're not going to be problem centric. They're not going to be customer centric. They're not going to position your customers as the hero. They're going to position your brand as the hero. So that's most marketers for you. And if you don't hire an outside expert, I'd say you're going to go back and forth between good opinions. You won't likely be using a proven positioning framework, and you kind of be stuck between opinions of what the best way to go. You're not going to have that validation from a process and outside expert. And we actually use AIs to do validation on the messaging we come up with once we train the AIs on the craft, on the context and the audience. A lot of websites are using jargon and stuck with inside baseball, and that doesn't work. And sadly, if you don't work with an outside expert, you can continue to waste money on marketing that doesn't turn anything into sales. So I hope that you take advantage of uh, of this opportunity to talk to us. And I like to say hire a sales enabler, because I don't think marketing, most marketing is bad. I like to say don't hire a marketer. I don't even consider myself a marketer, really. I consider myself a growth. It's about growing, about helping your clients grow and be successful. And by doing that, you're growing, you're successful. Because that gets to my primary philosophy, is like why I'm in business with Pitch Kitchen, is to help our clients be wildly successful. And the only way I believe that's going to happen is if you're helping make the world a better place. And I believe if you're here, the universe brought you here because you're in business to help your customers live a better life or have a better business or make the world a better place. Anyway, that's why I'm in business. So we're probably all doing this for the same thing. So I would say do not book a time if you don't have a viable product with happy customers, because this is not for you. I personally don't like to work with any business that doesn't have that, because I need to know in my heart that you've got a good product. If you're not committed to your vision, don't book. If you're okay with your business where it is right now, don't book. I'm very busy. My team is busy. We don't have time for you there. If you aren't challenging the status quo, don't book a session. I don't have time. If you can't or won't invest time and money into your business, please don't book, because it does take both of those things. All right. So definitely book a call if you're interested. Now let's do Dustin. Oh, I hate jargon, guilty of it, but sometimes unintentionally, but hate it. Yeah, it happens. So Paul, language department. All right. So let's take a look at Paul's site. We've got this. Let's open this up. The language department, languagedepartment.com. All right, let's take a look there. If you want us to take a look in the time that we have together, um, all right, got a, okay, translating your vision into a global reality. I like the double entendre there. Start your project. So the call to action here, if I click on that, am I actually starting a project? Start your project. Get a free quote. So it's asking for a quote, but it's like I'm not uploading any files. It's really just an email that goes. So I don't know that this is the right call to action. I think it's more of how you guys want to have a discussion first. So this is a deceptive call to action. And it's not, doesn't work because somebody doesn't want to start their project unless they know what they're doing. So you offer a lot of services here, but what you haven't described here, what the process is of working with you. Like, if you were to break it out into 3 steps. Step 1, book a discussion, because it looks like that really needs to happen. Because even if I say start my project, I'm just putting in this here, like, let's get started, but I can't really start my project. It's a discussion that happens. So it's not really clear. It's like a little deceptive. So I would have, maybe book a discussion, or book a globalization discussion, or book, a localization discussion, or book an expert, globalization architect discussion, or something that is really valuable to your customer, because that's the first step anyway. And that's step 1. Step 2 is get a quote or get a prescription of options that meets all your needs or whatever. And step 3 is enjoy your global business. So that's, they've crossed the chasm. So I think you're missing a 3-step plan here. I think you're also missing a whole section on the problem. This is very solution centric. It's a beautifully designed website, by the way, no issue there. But I think you're missing a messaging here that talks about a whole section you're missing on the problems that I have as a global business that's struggling with inconsistent messaging, um, maybe struggling with the risks of maybe I don't have bad translations today, but I'm worried of what if I have what's the risks that I'm facing every day with poor translation. So I'm worried about that as a business. So you're not empathizing with me, with my worries, my concerns as your ideal customer. So you're missing completely a problem section here. So I can go on. I think it's missing about four other sections, but you can discuss more with me if you like. Was that helpful, by the way? This was from Paul. Was that helpful? Awesome. Wow, great advice. Great. All right, I'm glad that was helpful. So, Dustin, I'm afraid to look at your website, to be honest, because like you're black belt, your total black belt situation, and I'm a red belt. How's that? Is red before black or after black? I'm not sure. Uh, nah, I'm breaking the rules. All right. So you're breaking your own rules? Is that what's going on there, Dustin? All right. I'm trying to get to magi.com. MAGAI.co. Oh, Dermaclip. I love you guys. I met your CEO a couple of weeks ago. How are you guys doing? All right, we'll talk about your site in a minute. So, Magi. So, why choose one AI tool when you can have them all? Huh. Get started. All right. So the call to action is get started. I don't know what I'm getting started with. So another, it's vague, like get started. I'm not sure I'm ready to get started. Uh, Pricing is up there. Magi is a total game changer, indispensable tool. Why choose one AI when you can have them all? So what I think this is an aggregate of AI AI tools from cloud, Gemini, ChatGPT in one place. And I do understand what you're offering. I think you're offering people who are like, "Oh, which should I start with? Should I use Claude? Should I use GPT?" Am I right? Am I wrong? Is that like your market of people who don't know what to start with and want to compare and contrast? It could be. And if that's your customer, you're missing the problem section that your ideal customer has. And like the other site, what am I struggling with? What am I frustrated with? I don't get that you know what that is. I get that you're trying to pitch me on why your solution, I should get started with your solution. So, since you're falling down on the messaging that empathizes with what I'm struggling with, it tells me that, well, maybe this isn't for me. You don't know who I am. Who is this for? Is this for businesses, for individuals? Who is this for? That's a piece that's missing. So I see you're trusted by Amazon. So is this company like Amazon? Well, I'm not going to work with this. I'm not like an Amazon. So you see this confusion here as to who this product is for. So Dustin, is this helpful? I could probably go on. There's other pieces and missing, and I'm in my mind, I'm comparing it to the magnetic messaging framework, but I think that's top of mind what's missing. By the way, I love the site. I love the colors. Beautiful design. Beautiful. Love it. Just missing a couple sections. You have a shit ton of 4 stars. So this tells me that maybe this is a C to C, a B to C play. But anyway, great. Let's go on to Dermaclip. Now, I spoke about Dermaclip, I think, with your CEO before, Chris, and we can do that in a one-on-one if you like. I think we'd love to chat with you one-on-one. Let me take a look at facecode.pro. All right. Face code, faster than therapy, uncover insights so accurate, it'll leave you speechless. Discover how to improve relationships, enhance family and team dynamics, and optimize communication. Oh my gosh, this is so big. Like, what is this? How it works. Choose your report, upload your photo, and take actionable steps. Leverage insights to improve relationships. Okay, so is this taking a picture of my face and then giving me actionable things of what I need to change my face so I can have better relationships? I'm a little confused by what this is. There's nothing like it. So whenever you have something like there's nothing like it, this is totally unique, totally different. I've got nothing to, no box or no category, no existing category to compare you to. So I'm confused. So remember we talked about in the master class how you need to create your category. I'm totally confused here because I don't see an existing category that you're playing in, and I don't have a word in front of that that tells me why this I should use this. What is this? So you're missing category creation here, but you clearly are offering some kind of an innovation here, but I don't know who it's for. Is this to consumers? I don't know how much it costs. I don't know if I would buy this for my business, for my employees, for myself. I don't know why I would need this. So I'm missing like empathy, problem connection stuff. Anyway, I don't want to be too harsh. Again, I'm from New York, but those are the pieces that I'm missing here. But really cool. I love this concept. I just feel like there's so much missing from the positioning and the story here that I would struggle to take the next step. Speaking of which, what is the next step? Reveal your insights and transform today. So, first of all, I'm not clear what I'm transforming. Like, am I transforming my brain, my mind, my face, my attitude, my relationships? Like, how, like what? Like, what is this? Like, it's so unclear to me what the transformation's about. I want transformation. I want that, but I don't know if this is for me. I'm just really confused. Anyway, hope that was helpful. All right, so Doru. Oh my gosh, Doru, you were so brave. You've been here for like an hour and a half for this master class, and you want me to jump into this. All right, last one here. Greenlight.life. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Doru. The modern delivery platform. Okay. Oh my gosh. Ah, so says who, Doru? Oh my gosh. I don't mean to like put the knife right in to the heart and twist it, but like, oh my gosh, Doru, please, I love you. You're the best, but please forgive me. Yeah, you no self-ascribing modernism to no. But you could create a prefix in front of the delivery. So you selling a delivery platform, but what kind of give me one word that is the new, like, is it accelerated delivery? Is it the intelligent delivery platform? Oh, maybe I just gave you a name. Intelligent delivery platform. Unlike other delivery platforms that are like not even platforms, maybe they're just like spreadsheets. Like we're helping by applying intelligence to blah blah blah. So you need a category. You do have a PhD in AI. So where is it? Where's the intelligence here? Let's get the AI intelligent delivery platform. Is that what you're feeling? I don't know. So category. You're also missing here the problem. You're missing problem section completely. You're missing. So book a demo. I'm clear like that's the call to action or learn more. Secondary call to action, learn more. Primary call to action, book a demo. If I click book a demo, please pick a time, pick a time. Yay, book a time. That's great. You pass on that side. So many businesses say book a demo and it's a form, not that. So that's great. Um, Missing a problem section. I'm missing a plan section. So if I were to book a demo and let's say I love your product, what's the whole process of implementing? So let's say I love it. You're going to hit me with it's going to take 19 months for me to implement and 17 people on my team. Like, how do I implement it? Like, what's the process of implementation? I think people want to know that before going down this path. And they're gonna in their minds, they want us like, is this bigger than a bread box? Like, what am I dealing with here? Is this like an enterprise deal, or is this like something at a user level could use to help my business? Anyway, hope that was helpful. Anyway, guys, I love you. I appreciate this time. This has been a great masterclass. I do these once a month. As they say, I'm here all week. Hope to see you at the Holiday Inn. Anyway, uh, I really appreciate your time in doing this masterclass. I really hope that you got some value from it. If you did get one thing out of this masterclass, type in the chat or just let me know on LinkedIn or whatever. Connect with me on LinkedIn. What you got out of this masterclass, I'd love to hear. If we could help you solve this problem, I would love to help you do that because I know what's on the line for you guys. So thank you, Daniel, Dustin, Paul. Who else we got here? Doru. We've got other folks. Thank you guys. Have a great week and keep on rocking in the free world.